All right, we're here with Richard. He's going to explain to us about the torch that he carried for the 2010 Olympics.
2010 Vancouver Winter Olympics. I think there was something like 20-ish thousand made of these. About 15,000 were actually used in the Cross Canada Torch Relay. Each person carrying the torch carried it for a couple of hundred meters, and then when it came time for the next person to carry on, we just tipped the torch forward and the flame lit the next torch. This one was extinguished, and everyone who carried the torch had an option to purchase their torch to help with the fundraising for the Olympic program. So I purchased this torch, and they explained a lot of the symbolism of the torch and the way that it was to be carried. It weighs about 3 to 5 pounds, so it is fairly heavy, and they wanted you to carry it like this with the maple leaf pointed towards you, ideally pointed towards your heart. That's the intention of it, the maple leaf and our hearts as Canadians. There's several ridges in the torch, and so each flat side of the torch represents one of the different provinces or territories in the country. So it's not just random edges or anything, there's significance to it. And then on the torch it says, "With glowing hearts," which is part of the Canadian national anthem. And the canister, this is the where the key was used to turn on the gas canister and then light the torch. It was a special fuel mixture so that when you were running in the day, even in daylight, you could actually see the flame. The torch is specially designed so that gusts of wind couldn't blow the flame out. And the canisters inside, take off the right side, were specially designed, so I can't just go to any old store and buy a propane canister or anything and hook it up and light the torch. It was custom made, and all of the canisters were destroyed, so there's no way that this torch can ever be lit again. And each torch was assembled and signed by a different worker at Bombardier. That was the company, which is a Canadian company, the aerospace company and transportation manufacturing company. So they got the contract to produce all the torches. And on the day that I carried the torch, somewhere on here is a number. I'll just put this back together again. 050. So I was the 50th torchbearer on that particular day. And each day they would start the torch run again at the number 1, and they would cover a certain distance. So I was torchbearer number 50 on the particular day that I carried the torch.
And how long did you carry it for?
I think it was about 300 meters roughly.
300 meters?
And you had the choice to either walk or run. I'm not a runner. I've never been a runner. I also didn't want to be the agony of defeat, be the one person who, while running with the torch, does a spectacular wipeout and embarrasses himself. I also thought, you know, it's only a few hundred meters. I may never get this chance again. So I chose to walk with the torch and really enjoy those few minutes that I had with the torch. And there's thousands of people lined along the route. And one of the things I found really interesting, there's an entourage around you, and someone came out to try and shake my hand, and the security detail just kept them away from me. So I was thinking, wow, this must be like what it's like to be a president or to be a rock star or something, where you've got that security detail, because they didn't get within a specific, there was a wall around me that really protected me. So it was interesting to be a part of that whole ordeal. And 1988 was the first time in my life that Canada hosted the Winter Olympics. It wasn't again until 2010, so who knows when the next time is that we might host the Olympics again. And if I'm around, maybe I'll get another chance to carry the Olympic torch. But if I don't, at least I can say I was part of the 2010 Olympics. And yes.
And you had said your mother carried it for?
Yeah, for the 1988 Calgary Winter Olympics. That's the first time that there was ever a torch relay associated with the Olympics. And they only had one torch at that time. So anyone in the torch relay, they just handed the torch off to the next person off the torch went. My mother and 2 of my cousins were selected to be torch bearers during that relay. So when this opportunity came up, I thought maybe it'll be a chance for me to carry on that tradition. And so I was able to carry on the tradition. And if it's not me, maybe someone else in my family the next time Canada hosts an Olympics and there's a torch relay, maybe they'll get a chance to carry the torch.
Oh, very nice, Richard. I appreciate the story, and I want to get a picture of you with
that was me.
Let me find my lights. Shut that off. All right,
We did get to keep the outfit as well. and the people who were involved with the Calgary Olympics got to keep their outfits. So what was really noticeable along the route where you were carrying the torch, all the people
There we go.
who came out who had carried the torch during the Calgary Olympic relay, you could see them along the route because they were wearing their red 1988 outfits. So I don't know the next time we host the Olympics, if there's a relay, if I would dig that out of my closet and put that on as well. But I've got the toque set aside. And the red mitts were real collector's items during the Olympics. You could go to local stores and buy the red mitts, but those particular mitts were specially designed. There's actually a rubber palm on them so that when you were holding the torch wouldn't slip out of your hands. The red maple leaf mitts that all the consumers bought were just wool. And so if we were to wear those wool mitts, the torch could potentially slip out of your hands and you would drop the torch. So they're even limited edition mitts just for everyone who was in the torch relay.
Very nice. Well, I greatly appreciate the little story, and I'm excited to get my own little picture holding your torch. So thank you, and I thank you for letting us couch surf here also.
No problem.